Good evening, welcome to yet another episode of The President We Want. My name is Lekuyani Eli, and thank you for joining us tonight, this Friday, the 29th, with absolutely almost 10 days towards the general election come 9th August 2022. Is this a matter of life and death for the competitors? We are talking about Raila Odinga. We are talking about William Samoei Ruto. Those are the two major persons we'll be focusing on tonight. Of course, we have Wajakoya and we have the like of David Mwaure, who is vying to change the landscape of our Kenyan politics when it comes matters corruption. But for now, let me bring in the panel of the night. I start with the African man all the way in the Netherlands. Good evening, African man, and how are you, if you can hear me?
Good evening, good evening. Can you hear me?
Definitely loud and clear, sir. Niambie, habari yako?
Habari mzuri sana, niko huku kwenu, niko Belgium leo na nimepambana kabisa. It's early but I'm on time today.
Welcome, and it's great having you on. I see the African man finally grew his hair, but we'll be talking about the hair later on. For now, let me bring in one more gentleman on set. Godwin, good evening.
Good evening, Eli. How are you?
Why are you sounding like you are on some... have you been intoxicated with Wajakoya's toxins from the snake?
Wajakoya says, Tingiza miti. I don't think I've done that. Maybe Matasio can tell us.
Okay, Matasio will be telling us about that in a short while. But welcome on set, Godwin. Great to have you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an extra panelist, of course, tonight. MK will be taking leave tonight. But of course, we have one gentleman that said, Eli, I want to be on that set. And I said, who am I? I'm going to invite him. Victor, all the way again in Holland, I believe. Good evening, Victor. How are you?
Good evening, gentlemen. And I'm just glad to be on the panel.
Equally happy and glad to have you. And of course, we're discussing matters politics into the election of the 2022 general election. We will be voting as a country. Who are we voting and what does it mean to them? Do you believe, and let's start with you, Godwin, that this is a matter of life and death for President to be, if he's going to win this election, that of course, Raila Odinga, or is it a new lifeline accorded to William Ruto?
Eli, this election it has a very high stakes. And I want to dissect it in this manner. For Honorable Raila, we all know this is the last bullet. I hope there's none remaining. We understand he said this is the last bullet. And then we come on the other side, we have Honorable, the Deputy, William Samoei Ruto. This guy is someone in his political career, he's not lost any election. So he wants to keep the clean sheet in politics. So you see, the stakes are very high. And then narrowing it down, we all know the power of incumbency. And our constitution provides for 2 terms for any sitting president, and you go into retirement. And there's no president who wants to go as a one-term president. Even in the US, you saw how Trump tried to cling on power. So that's the same scenario we're having. We know what happened in 2007 because Kibaki wanted to go into retirement. We saw how 2017 was contested because President Uhuru wanted to go into retirement. Because you see, if you are defeated after your first term, it means you still have time to contest. But when you are an incumbent, or rather sitting president, you have the state machinery. So you are somehow advantageous. That's why this year's elections, it's a do or die game.
African Man, is it a do or die game? And I hope, Gordon, you can actually readjust your audio settings. We are struggling to hear you, please. So fix that, and then let's have you back. For now, African Man, is it a do or die situation for these two political rivals?
Yes, in one way or the other, yes, I agree. First of all, for Honorable Raila Odinga, I think it is what he says, the last bullet. He's been there, he's done it, and sometimes I don't even know whether he's interested in being a president or he just wants to put Kenya where it has to be. So that way we see it has been a long journey for him. It's been a long journey for him, not forgetting that he has also been sidelined a lot. His rights stolen some time back. Last time with Kibaki, the next time, the other time with the Uhuru and Ruto. So I think for Kenya itself, it is a very serious moment now, especially because Raila is like the head of the old guards. When you see young guards coming in like Wajakoya and stuff, it means there is something that has to be defended, because Kenya itself, people are changing mentality now. You see, the mindset is really seriously changing. So, and what I see in Raila, Honorable Raila, is a long journey that has taken quite years and years. I mean, if you look at his, I don't know, can call it a CV or what, he's come a long way. Losing this one will mean a big dream ends. Winning it will also mean, yeah, this has been, he deserves it. So I think it's in one way or the other, it's really a do or die. It's a do or die thing. And it's going to be a sudden death for one of them. As for Ruto, I really think with his hustling ideas and these street things, he can have another chance another time. I don't even think he's really ready to run Kenya. His speed is very difficult. Even this wheelbarrow thing, he'll throw us in the river. So I think for Raila, it's really a do or die to put Kenya back where it should be. And remember, when you look at the developments of Raila, look at the constitution, look at all these things. Raila has always been there in opposition and trying to lead the path. So I think it's a high time, yeah, he takes this thing, man.
Well, that is a different Matasio after one that was throwing bombs and missiles last evening. Tonight he comes back and says probably Raila needs a chance in this. Victor, what you say, sir? And if you can get your microphone.
Okay, thank you very much. And first of all, I'll want to differ with my two esteemed colleagues. I do not think this is a do or die battle for Raila. For one, if you understand the context of Kenyan politics, you'll notice that you really need to dig into the trenches in order to reach the epitome of what politics constitutes in Kenya. And when you go back, let's say, for example, from 2007, going way back to 2013 to 2017, say, for example, if Raila were to be the then president, then he would have been sabotaged. You know, we know how, you know, what the so-called deep state is entrenched in the Kenyan politics. And when you look at it deeply at this particular moment, you notice that there's the backing, there's a system that is backing him up that would never sabotage his presidency. That is something that would have happened, let's say, prior, like in 2007, 2013, going into 2017. So I think Raila has come of age. This is the moment, you know, this is the moment that he really deserves to be the president of Kenya. Why? He's got the backing of all the systems that can enable him to bring the change that Kenya really needs at that particular juncture.
And let me ask you a question, Victor. You've just said if Raila were to be the president in 2013 or 2017, he will have been sabotaged. And then it begs the question, by that time, all of us know, everyone in Kenya understands the Raila of 2007 is the genuine Raila that we've ever had. You understand? But now, what happened? Now Raila is quiet. Raila, we're not seeing the Raila that we used to see. Raila, the activists like Raila who fights for the rest of a common wananchi. Raila has been quiet. He's been quiet when things have been happening. We all know Raila who used to have he was like an intelligence himself. Every scandal, he used to be the whistleblower. But at this time, we've seen things happening under his watch, and he's not been saying something. Does it mean he's gotten to a point where he doesn't care anymore? It's just a matter of, I have to die a president, having been a president of Kenya.
I think Kenyan politics is about maturation. I want to give you an example with the situation of Martha Karua and the other candidate. Normally we don't say their names because I'm on this other team. So you saw that there were too much expectations on Martha Karua because there was the notion that the other candidate was actually not at the level of Martha Karua's caliber. But the strategy was that from the matter of 2007 is actually not the matter of 2022. Why is that? Come on, it's all about maturation. And the same picture, you can juxtapose it to Raila and say that, he is really matured. He's not more combative, but he's more policy oriented. They have to dig into the real issues that are affecting the electorate or the common mwananchi. So you might want to paint Raila as that, he's no longer the combative one. He's no longer, making enemies left, right, and center, or is no longer angry as the other candidate is. No, but you have to now look at it that this is the Kenyan political situation at the moment requires some sense of calmness, some sense of understanding, in order for you to be able to expose or strengthen or even facilitate the policies that needs to be implemented. And that is exactly what they're doing. And that's exactly what Martha Karua did. And it's exactly what Raila is also trying to project at the moment.
African man, I would like to bring you into the conversation. And thank you so much, Victor, for your perspective in this. We have talked about Raila, and we still stay with the Raila factor before we can move to his competitors. Is this a Mandela moment? Because a lot of people have called it so. People believe that it is time Raila walked out of those gates and finally walked and marched into the house on that hill and become president and take Kenya to the next level. Is this a Mandela moment for him, or is it just another cycle of leadership?
Comparing Honorable Raila to Mandela, I would not like it to be, I would not look at it as that, because first of all, if you look at Mandela, he went through 3 shifts. The Mandela that went to prison is not the Mandela that came out of prison. He was definitely compromised. And that can be shown where South Africa is now. If you look at where South Africa is now, look at the economy, look at everything, look the peace that can be there with everything coming up. So to call it a Mandela moment, not really. I will not say it.
Just that I get this right. When you say compromise, what exactly are you referring to that Mandela was compromised?
Now, I mean, let us call a spade a spade. He was a hero with a lot of people alongside him. But after all those 30 years in prison and everything, when he came out, to be honest, he did not put South Africa where it should have been. Let's be very honest.
Is this the same prison? This is, let's now put it like a metaphor. Could it be that now Raila has been in that prison for those many years, but now politically in terms of ability to clinch onto the presidency?
No, not really. Actually, what Victor says, Honorable Raila has been maturing. He has stand on the streets with tear gas. He has had a handshake. He has been the prime minister, all those things. And what I see is like somehow he gets into government, whichever way.
So in a nutshell, Honorable Raila had to mature like the wine that we think about, older and later than the now Azimio chairman?
Yeah, that's I agree. And I look at it like he also he's like you know when you're a driver of a bus and the destination is clear, but sometimes you have to take some shortcuts. Sometimes you have to take some detours. I think that's what Raila has been doing most of the time. He is in opposition. He goes to courts. He's rigged out. He goes swears himself in. So it is really like he's full of surprises. I wouldn't be surprised if Raila loses this year again and then something else comes up. So for me, it is like it's not a duel. It's not really like the Mandela period. This guy is still moving. Nobody believed after rigging out Raila will still come for presidency. Every time you think it's his last time, but still he rises up. Maybe the age thing will disqualify him in the near future. But I think he's just the normal steps he's taking. He's taken a unique way, trying to fight for the rights of Kenyans, trying to put Kenya somewhere that is not so bad. So I think, for me, I think I wouldn't be surprised if he loses and then comes up again.
I disagree, Matasio. And the reason why I disagree is that in history, there are moments in mankind, there are moments that come that certain events must actually take place. You know, I can understand why you are against Mandela, because you know Mandela is my alumni oak also in Leiden University, and you know I had to sign the same Zweit Kama under his name. You know, that's an elite at our elite university. So the point that I'm trying to drive is that you know Mandela came with a plate of peace. You know, he told Frederick de Klerk that you know what, let's not fight over this. You know, this is just a country. You know, we all gonna die and we'll leave it here. You know, why don't we make peace for the posterity of the nation and all Africa? And it's the same situation with Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta. You know, when they met, you know, they said that understand what, we can fight. You know, we've got all the resources. You know, but we have got people here. There's blood that is being let here. The people dying. You know, what would it cost us just to make peace? You know, but you know, in the Kenyan context, I think what I've always said as a psychologist is that the trauma that Kenya has gone through way back from 1992, you know, the Molo clashes, you know, the post-election violence that preceded the 1992 elections, you know, way back 1982, coming now to 2007. You know, what we say as psychologists is that Kenyans are traumatized. You know, there's that trauma, and as a nation, we still need time to heal. So the conscience of a Kenyan voter or a normal Kenyan voter would be like, you know, in order to be at the epitome of politics, then you need to be combative. You know, you need to be able to fight somebody. But then when you look at it critically, you notice that, you know, the peace that was created by, you know, now esteemed President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and Right Honorable Raila Odinga has made it possible for us as a nation to see that, you know what, we can forgive one another. You know, you can wrong me, I can wrong you. But when we make peace, then we can have a common ground to work for the posterity of our nation.
And that I have a question for you again, Victor. We say Raila has matured and all that, but remember in your opening statement, you said Raila has been losing because by then he didn't have the system, now he has the system. So that begs the question, is it because he has the system or because he has the people's interest at heart? So because if he has the system, what essentially it means is whatever that is going to do, there are people will be calling the shots from behind. So where does it place him? Does it leave him to be a lame duck president, or he'll be the president that Kenya would want to have at some point? Because if he's going there because he has the system, it means he'll be there just like on the face value of it. But in real sense, the president will be someone else behind the scenes. People will be saying, you know, you have to do this, you have to do this. Where does that leave Raila?
Based on the data that is out there, you know, like the contested 2007 general election, you know, it was out there in the open that Raila actually never lost. You know, that was at least we and I, like a supporter of Raila then, because then I voted. I was still in Kenya then, and I remember how it went, but I will not go deep into that. And we believed then, that he never lost that election. But what happened with the Kivuitu factor and then the post-election violence, the violence that later followed, it was that he never lost that election. Then we went to 2013 general elections, then the ICC issues came up a bit, and, there were squabbles here. So in Kenya, we do not really have to cheat ourselves. We have to really acknowledge that, they are the so-called, godfathers, the people who have really invested in controlling, the electoral process in Kenya. So what has happened actually at the moment that is so new from 2017 is that, they realize that, the Kenyan democratic system, the electoral process is maturing to an extent that you cannot control it. So that when you're placed in a plebiscite of a free and fair election, like what we are now going to see, then you're going to notice that this Raila is going to win this election outrightly in the first round. I'm not trying to convince our audience, but I'm only saying my opinion. So it's not that he's going to be a lame duck president, but we have to incorporate one another. Uhuru is not going anywhere. Let's say, for example, people like Karanja Kibicho, those who've been in the public system, they're not going anywhere. We have to put them in a sense of continuity so that, we are not saying that it's winner takes it all. We have a sense of continuity. And I can assure you, based on that fact, Raila cannot be a lame duck president because there's a constitution that mandates him to take certain actions that nobody else can influence that.
Great. And gentlemen, as we discuss this, I see a lot of comments coming in. And dear viewers, if you're doing this, kindly continue sending your comments because we want to highlight them as we have this conversation. We want to engage you in this conversation. Evelyn Okwemba, good evening. Welcome to the conversation. Makomere Gilbert, all the way in the US, as Karibu Sana. Naomi Wanjugu, I will read in your comments later on. But for now, let's stick again with the Raila factor. Later on, we'll be handling his obvious competitors. And don't feel like we are spending more time on them or not, but we will tackle this as we progress. You have mentioned that fact that Raila lost in the previous elections, or did not lose according to what you believe during the times of Kivuitu and all that. But Raila has remained a great benefactor of lost elections.
I hope the question is is meant for me, but
the question is meant for you before I allow Matasi, because Matasi has been on the bench.
I think it comes with political equity, all the political resources. Raila commands over, let me say, I can put it at 8 million genuine voters in Kenya. That's a big political base. So you cannot just wish him away. And I think that's what I love about our esteemed President Uhuru Kenyatta, because he saw it, and in his wisdom, he thought that, what, it's pointless to divide this nation in two, because this man, in as much as he's not in my government, he's commanding really a population in Kenya. So why would we want to divide this nation when our main goal is Pan-Africanism? We want to make Africa to be a state in itself, So why would we put ourselves in a situation where, I remember back then 5 years ago, there were individuals that would draw maps of Kenya. They say, this is south of Kenya, this is central of Kenya, this is the north of Kenya, and stuff like that. That ends up dividing us, So is somebody that, when you want to drive a nation or when you want to build a nation, he represents a base that you need in order to create that cohesion and unity to prosper. And that is exactly why he's been benefiting.
Gentlemen, you want to take a counter, Matasio, or should I cue you the next question?
Yeah, I can just maybe to ask something. It reminded me something important. I think when we talk about Raila, we have to look at a leader beyond Kenya itself. Sometimes we have African leaders and we have country leaders, and if to compare, Raila is not only a Kenyan leader. This is an African leader, to be honest. Him being a president or not being a president, he's a force to reckon with in Africa, to be honest. He's a very strong force to reckon with. The only thing I think is like sometimes the Kenyan politics are too dirty for him. We know when we say it's been, yeah, we know it was rigged out. We know very well. We know very well. The Kibaki time, we know what happened. The Uhuru Ruto time, we know what happened. So for me, I think just to add on it is like, let us look at him as a statesman. For me, I think even being a president for Kenya, it is, yeah, it is something okay. He can do it in another way. We have seen him become a prime minister. He did what he had to do. We have seen him become a self sworn in president. We have seen him become a handshaker, and we see all those things make changes from the constitution. Changes were made. The violence from Tasa with Kibaki, changes were made. At least Kenya came on the net, say, hey, what is happening? It was not the first time. People have been dying in more of the time of Moi all the time. But this time, at least with Raila there, with all the noise, things, at least people came to ICC. So I think for me, it is like, he is a serious statesman. And I think even being a Kenyan president is not such a very big thing for him, I would say. He's well known. He's a force to reckon with beyond being a president of Kenya.
A force to reckon with beyond being a president, Godwin. I beg your pardon. But let me ask you this, gentlemen, and Godwin, probably you want to come into this. As we discuss the Raila factor beyond Africa and being a Pan-Africanist for that matter, we cannot close our eyes to the obvious issues that we are still facing as a country. If he was that statesman enough, will we be having those kind of exchanges happening between the deputy president and his president? We had the today or so, the deputy president telling the president, wachana na mimi, if you have nothing better to do with your mganga wako or mtu wako wa kitendawili, go do it with him. A statesman will try to make peace between these two. Godwin?
I think everything has its time. I understand. I agree with all of you that Raila is a statesman and he's been there over time. But again, let's not make it as if once you're a statesman, it's mandatory for you to be a president. Or let's not make it like we are doing someone a favor to make them president just because they're state people stuff. Because even Raila in himself, he has his flaws. We all remember after the post-election violence in the Grand Coalition government, Raila, there's a time he was not in good terms with the then president Mwai Kibaki. What happened? Did he resign out of principle? Nothing. Because you remember, all of us remember when Raila used to complain about I don't know, Nusumkeka, PC Ayuko, Ajahn Pateta Cho. You know, those are some of the things. It doesn't mean it narrows down to what do you stand by your principles, or it reaches a point where you have to compromise. And that brought me to actually in the recent government. We all know after the 2013 election how Raila was critical on the government. But what happened once after the handshake? It doesn't mean just because there was a handshake, yes, we had peace, but it doesn't mean we have to overlook other issues, the corruption scandals that are going on and all that, just because you looked Kenya from a larger lens, knowing that we need peace. Yes, we need peace, but do we need peace? Do we need peace in a country where people are dying of poverty? No, we need prosperity. Because when the president comes here, says 2 billion is being looted every now and then, you don't say a thing. Even if you watched his interview with the BBC, he was asked about he used to be critical about corruption issues and stuff. Why is he quiet right now? And you see, now you have to defend the backing of the system.
Godwin, that's the right with us?
I don't know if you can hear me.
Now we can hear you. Continue. So make your closing remark on the same.
Yeah, I was saying, so as much as Raila is a statesperson, let's not make it as if it's mandatory because he's a statesperson. He has to be given the presidency. You know, it reaches a time where, you know, they usually say a good dancer knows when to leave the stage, but you don't have to fight until it gets to that point where it's a matter of life and death, and that's what informs the subject of the show tonight. Because if he really cared about the country, he'd say, you know what, I shaved my ambition after 2017 election. I've tried, but I didn't make it for obvious reasons. Maybe I won and then it was stolen. But now, as a statesperson, I've decided to bridge the gap. The Kenyans come first. It was out of the handshake. Now, I've left it at that. Why do you have to insist? To an extent where you have to compromise the very things you believed in.
Compromising, and the kingmaker finally wants to be a king. That is the conversation we are having tonight. Is it a matter of life and death for Raila to be president or have his final touch at the presidency, just in case he gets to win this year's election? I have Makomere Gilbert, who says, nice topic to handle. Thank you so much for tuning in. Son Naomi Wanju, who says, a fearing God president, a man of integrity. Ruto deserves it. Again, goes ahead and said, Raila is naughty, very naughty. He's the master of violence. Wow. Wow, that is very passionately said, and I don't know why you believe that. Naomi, you will tell us why. Ruto doesn't fear God. Naomi, he is an hypocrite. Baba is the man who has Kenya in his heart. I believe that's what Evelyn wanted to say. Continue sharing your thoughts with us in the comment section with the hashtag election 2022. And let's have this conversation happening live here on the Arts in Heart Official Radio EU, the Arts in Heart Official on Facebook. And of course, we are streaming this stream live on radio blueradio.co.ke. So get to log in if you haven't, because we are doing this both on radio and on your visual screens. I see who is here. Nesh TV, thank you so much for joining in. Says Ruto, man of God. Okay. When does someone decide to shelve their ambition? Maybe we can just cue in and say when enough is enough. But is it enough for Ruto? Is it a matter of life and death for him, Victor?
I was really amazed by Godwin's take, and of course I respect his views. But as for Raila's situation, people tend to assume, that he was trusting himself to the presidency. No, Raila has been demanded. It's the Kenyan people who've demanded for Raila's presidency, because he's a kind of, if you say that somebody is a statesman, yet you cannot let the statesman preside over a country, then what is it that you want? That would be the question. So we tend to say that, oh, is it a matter of life and death? No, Raila has been on record actually stating that, when the rubber meets the road, then I'm ready to stop it. I do not want this. But you see that it's the people who've been driving him, and you see based on the opinion polls. You see based on the campaigns. You see what is happening right now in Kenya, the organization of the governance system at the moment in Kenya, the military, the education system, the healthcare system. You see how it has now been organized in readiness for his presidency. You understand that? So, Godwin, I would really want to say that, it comes at a point where you cannot use age as a factor that bars somebody from holding an office, be it a public or a private office, when we know that they are capable of. So let Raila be. We are going to the ballot. It's going to be rubber stamped. And then, based on that, then we can assess his performance.
And I think, Victor, before you get me wrong, I didn't mean we are looking at the age factor. My main concern about Raila is his stance on the things he believed in. You understand? Because you cannot tell me you don't believe in corruption, yet you're sitting, or you are in the government, the same government you've been accusing of corruption. Things happen under the same government. You keep quiet, or you're selective on how you handle the things. And that's my whole point. Because it doesn't mean just because you are a state person, does it mean Raila is the only state person in Kenya? We've had the likes of Matiba, we've had the likes of Martin Shikuku and all that. Did they all of them become presidents just because they were state people? The president doesn't define who was a state person or not. You can be a state person. We all know the people who fought for independence of Kenya. Did all of them become presidents? No. So you don't have to insist for you to be there because people know you as a state person. That's my whole point.
So Godwin, then where do we bring in Ruto into this conversation? Because You have said it in your opening remarks. Ruto is one man that has not lost any election or elective post he's vied to become. And throughout, his CV has been a clean sheet. Why is it important for him to be president and not Raila?
And you see, and that's the point. I'm not saying, let's get this clear. I'm not on either side of Ruto or Raila. We're trying to look at these things objectively and trying to understand why this issue is a matter of life and death. And that's why I'm trying to interrogate all of them, because we've been having issues that I don't know. Ruto has been in government for 10 years, so he didn't do anything. And then the question comes: Raila had a shared government with President Kibaki. What did he do? You understand? So all these people are coming here, not bringing us anything new. And if anyone saw what Lee Njiru said on a TV session, on an interview the other time, all these people are political cousins. But that's why I'm trying to bring a perspective where now we as an electorate, we don't look at these people as individuals, thinking that we are voting for this person to punish this person. You understand? Because at the end of the day, these people eat from the same plate. These people take tea after those rallies that divide us as Kenyans. These people go and sit. You see, like on this show, maybe me and Victor, me and Matasi or you, Eli, will call you say, Ruto is good, Raila is good, Wajakoya is bad. But after this, these people are going to be together. But we live here as enemies. Are they living as enemies? No. That's why I'm trying to bring the point across. Let us not look at who deserves. Let us look at the agenda they're bringing, not because of what they've done in the past. Now, people are suffering. We are having high cost of living. What solution are you bringing? We cannot just vote you in because you are a state person. You're a leader beyond Kenya. You're a Pan-Africanist. So we have to vote you in when people are dying of hunger. What solutions are you bringing? How practical are they? And that's the whole point we need to be addressing tonight.
Great, we are addressing that. African man, again, my question still stands. Why does it seem a matter of life and death? And when we refer to that, we are referring to the political lifeline of these people. Why does it seem so important for either of these two to become president? What is in for Ruto?
Yes, first of all, there are two things here. When you talk about Raila, or you hate him, or you like him. Even when my friend Gordon is trying to be as objective as possible, he is, a leader. You cannot be loved with everybody. You cannot be loved with everybody. There'll always be those ones who are really against you. Even pastors, there's nobody who likes 100%. Now, when it comes to the question of life or death, I think I look at it like this. Let a man achieve his dreams. And we know Raila's dream of being a president, he deserves it. That's the first thing. He deserves it. And he talks about, Gordon says, because you have done things in the past. It is the past. It's the CV that we should look at and decide, okay, this guy deserves it. Even if you go for a job, people ask, what have you done before? So for me, I think Raila shows the capability of running the nation. Now, when you compare to Ruto, for me, it's very difficult to even put Raila and Ruto in the same sentence, to be honest. But because it's politics, they are both in politics, okay, we'll put them in the same sentence. A lot of people, a good percentage of people, will vote for Ruto just because they don't like Raila. Nothing to do with that Ruto is good or Raila is bad, just because they don't like Raila. Now, that's one step. Another thing is we are forgetting our politics runs around a lot on tribal lines. You always hear Mount Kenya doesn't like Raila. Mount Kenya doesn't like Raila. So it is all about we looking at it from not an objective way, but like what suits us. So for me, I think even Ruto is getting enough votes, is getting enough support just because Raila is his opponent. Those ones who don't like Raila would rather annoy him by voting Ruto. And it's nice that Wajakoya has come a bit of equalizer, you understand? Look at the youth. Look at the youth have been singing Ruto, 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 Ruto. Wajakoya comes in, no money, nothing. They're singing Wajakoya. So that means they just want somebody different. It doesn't matter who it is. So as long as it's not Raila, they will vote. So that's also something we have to be very careful in. We are not looking at the person, is he good for us? No. We don't like Raila, so we better vote for Ruto. Not that Ruto is good. So that is one thing.
Gentlemen,
do you understand?
I'll have to cut you short, and let's just take some comments here, and then we'll bring. And I don't know why all of you are deciding not to discuss anything to do with William Ruto, because I want the perspective as to why it matters to him to be president in this election. There's one here who says, Edgar says, when does someone decide to shelve their ambition? Because we're talking about the matter of age. When do you shelve it? We have Mamai Elisha who says Ruto the fifth. And again, Edgar comes and answers his very question, says the owner of KFC opened it at the age of 80. And therefore, that tells you Raila is still young. That's why I said the other day, probably he's younger than Biden and very strong enough to continue having these kind of campaigns. Nesh, kwani Ruto ni pasta? Since when? That's a swali that inaulizwa na Evelyn Okwemba. Thank you so much for your question. Isaac Mumbwani says Ruto kipenzi cha wengi. Thank you so much. K here, K with the capital K or small k, it's a K, says since Jomo married a daughter of Rachel Omamo, he is being prepared by Uhuru to take over leadership times. To come Uhuru, he doesn't support anybody without his personal benefit. Okay. Again, those are the opinions of K, and I cannot agree or disagree with them. Uhuru doesn't support anyone without any personal interest. So what is in for him with Raila? You better tell us. Anaitwa nani huyu? Eria says Ruto juu mpaka State House. Okay, are you going to vote? This is you to decide after this conversation. Alex Wekesa says Baba the fifth. Baba the fifth. Nothing more, nothing less. We are about Baba, he says. So, Ruto tunampenda mpaka State House. That is what Eria says, and he's not adding more or less. But gentlemen, this has been an eventful week for William Ruto, and let's just take a listen in on what he had to say in a previous public rally.
Ana mpango ya kupeleka taifa letu mbele, na ndio nawauliza wa Kenya wapige kura tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8 na waangalie ni nani na ni kundi gani na ni group gani wako na mpango ya kupeleka taifa letu mbele. Mimi nataka niwaambie machief, nataka niwaambie county commissioner, tunajua mnasukumwa na watu wa kuzimia, kwa sababu watu wa kuzimia wamekosa watu ya kufanya mambo yao kule mashinani. Mimi nataka niwaambie machief, nataka niwaambie county commissioner na assistant county commissioner, kazi zenu ziko salama. Msikubali kusukumwa na watu ambao in the next 1 week watakuwa wamekwenda nyumbani. Mimi nataka niwaambie machifu wote, kazi zenu ziko salama. Mjue ya kwamba serikali ya Kenya Kwanza itafanya provincial administration iwe a professional government delivery unit ambayo itahakikisha Wakenya wote wanahudumiwa na serikali ya Kenya bila ya kujali misingi yao ya kabila.
Interesting. Ellie, can you hear me?
I'm
Hello?
shaking my head. I can hear you.
Yeah, I think what the audience actually need to pick from the angry outburst is what he's actually saying. I remember way in 2007 when Raila was campaigning, they had issues to do with the provincial administration, the use of the then district commissioners, the chiefs, to ensure the security of the voters, or to ensure or to whip, so to say, the populace to vote in a certain way. And based on the tone of Ruto, I think he knows it. He knows that the provincial administration has been used, or the now administration that is in Kenya has been used now to safeguard Azimio's imminent win. So that's why you can, when you look at him, when you look at his body language, you see somebody who's really rebuking the system. He's mad at it. He's even trying to some extent, even console the administrative officials not to lean in. Yet they've already leaned in.
Ali, you asked a question before we had that clip, and you asked why this election is a do or die for Ruto. And in my honest opinion, I think Ruto is trying to break what I'd call a generational curse, because we all know the history of deputy presidents from back then when they were vice presidents ascending to presidency. Apart from the former president Moi, who ascended to presidency by virtue of the death of the then sitting president Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. You understand? All other, we've not had a vice president who's come close to ascending to power. We all know the history from what happened to Jaramogi Odinga, and then later on with Kibaki before he went to opposition, and then we had Saitoti, who was denied the chance at the tail end when President Uhuru was endorsed. So Ruto is trying to break the ceiling by being the first deputy president who has ascended from number 2 to being the president in an election. I think that's why it's a do or die for Ruto this time round.
I think maybe you need to refer back to Mwai Kibaki, because Mwai Kibaki was also a deputy president at one point in Kenya's history. And
I understand.
and he became the president. And you saw what happened to George Saitoti when he showed some form of ambition. And then that also, the same fate befell Kalonzo Musyoka. So what we can really postulate about William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta is the same thing, most probably, what happened between Jomo Kenyatta and senior Jaramogi Oginga. And unfortunately, because I'm an opinionist, I'll just put my opinion out there. I think that Uhuru Kenyatta will not be in a position to give William Ruto the reins of power, unfortunately so.
So, gentlemen, having said that, Gorin, we're running out of time, and I would love to really engage most of us. African man, I keep checking your mic because there's something you're doing that is interfering with our stream. So if you can have that sorted out, that would be great. Gentlemen, we have discussed this, and I see a lot of comments coming in, and everybody that is watching, thank you so much for your comments. I will read them out as we continue, but meanwhile, I continue screening them on our platforms. I want to ask you this. Why is it very important for President Uhuru to stop Ruto from being president? What is it that the president is trying to prevent or to support? Let's start with you, African man. African man first.
First of all, I will answer your question, but still I'll refer. Your question is answered by the question is answered by the video you just showed us. First of all, this is the vice president, the sitting vice president. Okay, he is part of the government.
Deputy president, you mean, right? Deputy president.
Deputy president. Sorry. But he is still complaining about the very government that he runs. That's a very big, bad red flag. That answers why even Uhuru Kenyatta cannot trust him. He tells himself, how can you, be it a marriage, be it a friendship, you are there jumping, shouting to 1 million people how your own wife or how your own husband or how your own partner is wrong. That's not quality of leadership. That's very wrong. It doesn't matter what. What is it that he cannot sit with the government and solve the problems in the government, then assemble people, 1 million people, tell them the very government that he's running is bad? That is a leader, a very wrong leader. The second, we see the temper that he is. You know, people choose leaders for charisma. This guy has no charisma. Completely has no charisma. First of all, he's there talking about other people. Oh, watu wa Azimio, wale nini, always complaining of the opposition or rather the other part. Tell us what you can do. He's been there for the last 5 years. He's been campaigning since he ever got into the office. So for me, it gives a very red flag that even Uhuru Kenyatta cannot stand him. And if you see, Uhuru Kenyatta can be pissed off sometimes. We have seen him very angry for some reasons. He was very angry at Raila sometime, you can remember. But what is really pissing him off, I think you can see like Ruto is going for this presidency like a hunter. You know, it is like it is not even leadership anymore. I mean, it is, yeah, I would compare to like running. It's even worse than football. It's even worse than a football match. There is no compassion in him. There is no caring in him. You can see how he speaks. So for me, I think that's even the reason why Uhuru Kenyatta cannot trust and not have him around him.
Godwin, why is the president very adamant in stopping the DP from ascending to power as the president?
My assumption would be because this is someone they've worked with for the first 5 years, and then a few years or maybe months into the second term. Again, this is someone who knows the president in and out. So the question would be, is there something that the president is trying to protect that maybe if Ruto ascends to power, that thing will be in jeopardy? Because we all know politics is about interest. So what are the interests that the president is trying to protect, that he'll go an extra mile to make sure his deputy president doesn't ascend to power to an extent that he supports his opponent that they had a very contentious election with come in 2013 and 2017. What is there behind the scenes that we are not being told? Is it just because Ruto is an angry person? Is it because he's corrupt? Because we all know even the allegation that came out recently when Rafael Tuju was on set saying Ruto was paid to support the president. What was so critical that Ruto had for him to be paid in billions, as it's being alleged, for him to support the president? What is it that we don't know? You understand? So that I think there's something that is there that we are not being told, and we are just being told it's about corruption and all that. So there's much that meets the
eye. Victor, why is the president adamant on stopping the deputy from ascending to that post?
I'll use one word. To you soon. I'll just use one word. Yeah? Dishonesty. Dishonesty and gluttonous ambition. Look, when we're in a relationship, let's say even how we are at this moment. Of course, I understand. We've got ambitions. But for me to attain my goals, I do not have to trade on yours. So say, for example, if I want to be the president of Kenya and you are the president, how then do I want to be a co-president with you to neutralize your presidency? One, knowing that in the next other 10 years, I'm still going to be the president. So there was a photo that was shared, I think, in 2014, I think, where the president and Mr. William were on a podium. And there was a sign, I'll share the photo later on with you guys, where the gentleman does so, these hands, like so, that, this presidency, we are co-sharing it. Yet, in the constitution, it had already been defined that, there is a president and then there's a deputy president. So, Uhuru saw the real character of Mr. William Ruto, and he knew that, come hell, come rain, I cannot really work with this guy because these ambitions are, they're archaic, they're not civilized anymore. And that's why you saw the two sides. One goes for peace, one wants to be to antagonize. So look, if it were any other president, I wouldn't be surprised if they would shelve off Mr. Ruto.
Thank you so much, Victor, African man, and I hope finally you can have your closing remark on this one.
Yes.
Ruto is adamant in becoming the next president, something that Uhuru doesn't seem to agree with because his ambitions are way beyond what the president would have expected. Why is it? What does Uhuru have to lose if Ruto was to become president?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, kindly mute that gadget over there.
I don't have anything else on. Okay.
He's trying to watch himself. That's the African man. Go ahead.
Okay. Let us look at it like we also forget that actually Uhuru Kenyatta has got the interest of Kenyans at heart. That we must understand. That's the first thing. So he may do things not for his own benefit. He may do things for the benefit of Kenyans. And if there was somebody coming to steal in Kenya, if there was somebody coming to destroy Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta will be the first person to stop this person. So we cannot talk about these conspiracy theories. Oh, if Ruto becomes the president, then kuna siri ingine ya Kenyatta tokea. Hakuna siri. If this guy is just dishonest, he has worked with somebody before. They have gone through hell and heaven. They have gone to ICC here together. So he is just not the right guy, and we can see it. We can see Uhuru Kenyatta. Ruto is not a guy to trust. He is dishonest. The first thing is, he has been campaigning since he ever went to office. 5 years campaigning. So for me, it's very clear that even the sitting president telling the people, this guy, I work with him, I know him. He is not good. He is not trusted. What else do you want to know? That's all. He is not to trust. If he cannot be the government that he's in, being the deputy president, yeah.
If it's about trust, yes, you said Uhuru has the best interest of Kenyans, but all of us know Uhuru, as much as you might say he has best interest of Kenyans, even him is a politician, and you know, no politician can be trusted. Let me ask a question. Let me bring out something. There's this issue of the Pandora Papers, and all of us know it came up. It was not a Kenyan thing. It was exposed. All of us know the first family was implicated. By then, the president was out of the country. He said as soon as he's back, he's going to address the issue. Up to now, has he addressed? We have Raila by his side. Did he ever tell Kenyans anything? We all know about the KEMSA scandal that he said that issue was going to be solved within 21 days. That was, I think now we are 2 years since that. So who is fooling who? What best interest is the president having for Kenya? Because you cannot be speaking from one mouth and then on the other side things are going bad under your watch. So what interest? Because if you're telling me it's a Ruto who's been sabotaging the government, if there's anyone who has the entire intelligence in this country, the president has intelligence of everything from all the state agencies. Why can't you take action? If the deputy president is corrupt, we have the judicial structures to follow. Why can't you prosecute him? Tell him, you know what, you have done ABCD, we have this evidence because you have the intelligence. Let the law take its course. Then why do you have to come and tell us in rallies? You know, we've had presidents saying, you know, we have 2 billion getting lost every time, but there's nothing I can do. You remember the other time the president telling journalists, you know what, now what can I do if we have corruption? What can I do? So what are you telling me?
Okay, great, gentlemen. Unfortunately, we need to end this conversation, but it continues again next week from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. On Wednesday, we started at 9:30 p.m. East African time. On Thursday, the same time, 9:30 p.m. And of course, on Friday, it is 8:30 p.m. East African time. So do make a date with us. For now, let me just get quickly to these comments here. Jaira's daughter of Dr. Show says Godwin. Godwin, that is good, I believe. We have Andrew Makoha who says no and no. Let me tell you, Ruto hakutaka handshake, and handshake imeleta amani Kenya. Angalia, say no fight, throwing stones in our country. Ann Kamau says Uhuru has failed us. Kenyans, let him go home, please. Salome, on the other hand, says, Salome Wamburu says, nyinyi kama hakuna mwizi kwa serikali ya Kenya, achukue mawe warusie Ruto. Waache kujificha na mkono. Ruto the fifth, she says. Thank you so much, Salome. Alpha W says, president is a symbol of unity. Should not campaign any side. Wow. Wow. Okay. Jairus again says, Andrew, Uhuru ndiye alitoa Ruto kwa mamlaka yake akapea mtu mwingine. Kama ni wewe, ungefanya nini? Ala, Ruto ni mtu. Ruto alitoroka Uhuru mwenyewe juu hapendi amani. Okay, those were the questions and answers that were happening there. And earlier on, I see Jairus' daughter show said, yes, Uhuru is protecting something. Kwa nini Ruto hakuwa mbaya 2013 and 2017? Why now? Kwa nini saa hii ndio ubaya wa Ruto inaonekana? A person who cannot control anger. Wow, okay, that's a big one. I won't mention it. Ruto can do it. That is Pilgrim's Hope, and I hope this is not what we are going to witness after the elections go to bed on the 9th, that everything is happening good. Meanwhile, I want to introduce you guys to one interesting gentleman that I will be hosting right after this on blueradio.co.ake. So get to log in if you haven't joined the stream. That is www.blueradio.co.ke. His name is Fadili. He has a new album out, and you want to listen to this because I'll be playing it back to back. So join me there. Let's have a good time. In the meantime, let's have a closing word from this gentleman. In a minute, let's start with you, African man.
Yes, it is not a do or die for none of them, but it's a very interesting moment. And I can only say, let us open our eyes. Let us not be, I told last time, they all lie. So we have no choice. They're all liars, but let us look through the lies. Then at least we can be content to choose the right one.
Thank you. Please pick it up because of time, Victor.
I think this election is all about corruption. For the first time ever in Kenya, the main issue is about fighting corruption. So I would want to urge our viewers, make the best choice. Look into somebody's eyes or to the candidate's eyes and say, who can best fight corruption in Kenya? Once we do that, I can promise you that, the next 5 years will be great. And the person who can fight corruption is Raila and Martha. Take it to the bank.
Peace, peace, peace. At the end of the day, after election is done and dusted, we remain Kenyans, we remain brothers and sisters. Let's look beyond politician. Let's vote and maintain peace because we need each other even after this election. Let's not be sycophant or fanatical supporters of politicians. Let's remember we have a life to live and we have families to protect. Thank you.
Let's not be sycophants. I look forward to hosting you on blueradio.co.ke. Do join in. Let's have a good entertainment Friday as I bring you great music from East Africa and beyond. My name is Lekuyani Eli. On behalf of everybody that made this show a success, thank you so much for contributing in the comment section. Joseph Mutua, asante sana for coming in. Boaz Moha, I see you. Ann Kamau, I see you. Andrew Makoha, I see you. Eugene Kapuoni, I see you. Thank you so much for being here. Jairus' daughter show, asante sana. Salome Wamburu, Alpha W. Who else is here? Pilgrim's Hope, I see you. Balkis Mohammed, thank you so much for coming in. Kay, I saw your comments. I appreciate you. Lillian Jerry, Joseph Mutua. Who else is here? Isaac Mumboani, Jane Mungai, Alex Wekesa, Twebaze area, and so many of you, including Lokong Anthony, Eric Uhuru, Zakayo Mkasa. The list goes on and on. That is Izo, Isaac, asante sana. Edgar, thank you for coming in. Evelyn, I see you. Nesh TV, and of course, these gentlemen that made the success of the show. Until next week, let's see you and let's connect again. Good night. God bless you. For now, I leave you with Fadili with the song Man. God bless you guys.
Don't stress about it, man. Don't fight about it, man. Don't mind about it, man. If you wanna talk about it, man. If you wanna talk about it, man. If you wanna take a walk about it, man.
Boys will be boys for life. Balling, we ball for life. But tonight I'm jaded. It's too much for the night, too much for the mind. Man's feeling frustrated. And bonds will be bonds for life. Bag after bag, chasing bags for life. But tonight I'm wasted. She was one of a kind. You're messing with my mind. Now the vibe is infected. I could've sworn she loved me. I could've sworn she cared. But in the end of the matter, they really matter. Love was never in the heart of the matter.
Don't worry about it, man. Don't sweat about it, man. Don't stress about it, man. Don't fight about it, man. Don't mind about it, man. If you wanna talk about it, man. If you wanna talk about it, man. If you wanna take a walk about it, man.
I'm sipping whiskey with the elements. I know that meeting now was a coincidence. It's getting risky using substances. And I'm not used to these and got the wretchedness. I'm getting busy erasing evidence. I'm losing rhythm and my consciousness. I know that none of this is really making sense. There's no return on investment and no dividends. I could've sworn she loved me. I could've sworn she cared. But in the end of the matter, nothing really mattered. 'Cause love was never in the heart of the matter. I could've sworn she loved me. I could've sworn she cared. But in the end of the matter, nothing really mattered. 'Cause love was never in the heart of the matter. I could've sworn she loved me.
Man. Don't sweat
I
about
could've
it.
sworn she
Don't
cared.
stress about it, man. Don't fight about it, man.
But in the end of the matter, nothing really mattered.
Wanna spoke about it,
Love was never in the heart of the matter.
it, man. If you wanna take a walk about it, man.
I could've sworn she loved me.
Man. Don't sweat
I could've sworn she
stress
cared.
about it, man. Don't fight about it, man.
But in the end of the matter, nothing really mattered.
Wanna spoke about it,
Love was never in the heart of the matter.
man. If you wanna take a walk about it, man.
Could've sworn she loved me.